This is Greg Giorgis from the Chicane Club. I'm your founder and CEO here, and also your race engineer and driver coach. You're coming to you live right now from the club. I'm currently driving an AMG. Oh, a little wide. Currently driving an AMG GT3 at a very, very, very wet Suzuka. Getting passed by a prototype in the final chicane. Yeah, so if you're watching this right now, you are on our very first live stream under the name Chicane Club. We've got some old videos on our feed here back from when we were still Symmetric Labs. A lot of that was a cool project we did when the pandemic hit us back in early 2020. A friend of mine at the time, Mr. Oliver Askew, shout out to Oliver if you're watching right now. At the time, he had just signed with Arrow McLaren SP's IndyCar team, and was about to take off his season at St. Petersburg. We were all there. They red flagged the actual session when all the shutdowns happened. All went home. About a month later, IndyCar announces that they're going to be doing an iRacing series. Fill the gap, put something on TV when we're all shut down, locked in our houses and everything. And he came to me, "Hey, Greg, I don't have a sim. Can you hook me up? We're going to do this IndyCar thing." And the answer obviously was a big yes. So he drove in our simulator when we had our mobile trailer plugged into the internet, and that's all our old stuff there. So you got some time, go back and watch that stuff. But what we're doing now is, I'd say, a little bit evolved from that. So for those of you who have been in here before, I'm driving our main sim right now. We're gonna be doing this. We've got Garrett calling strategy. Wave to the camera, Garrett. I've got doing strategy calling spotting for me, so I don't prototypes take me out. We've got TJ from More Podiums. He's doing our stream support for everything. My wife Daphne. And our marketing director is doing all of our YouTube comment interaction stuff. And then we've got TJ's wife, Christy, here, Angelo from Onzi Suspension, TJ and Christy's daughter, Jade, and our little dog, Bo, in the background here. So you might see some activity going on in the background while I'm racing here tonight. But it's a full house, which, that's really what the Chicane Club is all about. This is not your typical sim racing stream where it's some guy in his bedroom racing on his own or with some teammates all around the world. We are an on-location sim racing center. We've got another sim identical to this one right there on the other side of that curtain. You can't see right now that we're going to do some cool things with streaming in the future. But for now, you guys are going to follow along as I do my own personal sim racing stuff. So I'm not an iRacing alien. I'm good at this. I've done a lot of real racing stuff as an engineer and a coach and a strategist and kind of the pit wall side of things for a long time. I've made my whole professional career doing that. I do a lot of stuff in the sim world too, but I'm by no means prototyping about to take me off here. That's very little room there, buddy. All right. So I obviously do a lot of sim racing for driver coaching purposes. Most of the work that we do here at the club is on the Assetto Corsa platform. It really lends itself to being really good. It's open source, so we can bring in a lot of custom content. We've got a lot of really special proprietary content that we have from our partners or that we've kind of dialed up ourselves that is not publicly available. So most of what we do here, in short, is on Assetto Corsa for a lot of fun reasons. But tonight, anything we do competitively online, iRacing is naturally the best place to do that. It's a really good platform. Physics modeling is really good. And as kind of has been the latest trend in iRacing lately, the rain model, the Tempest weather model system is really very, very cool. And we're going to be digging into that a lot tonight. So you're going to hear me and Garrett work through one of these 45-minute IMSA iRacing sessions. Again, I'm going to be driving the Mercedes. I've done a lot of work in real life with the Mercedes back when I was an engineer at P1 Motorsports. More recently, I've done a lot of work with CP Racing and their 24-hour series team with Shane Lewis, who's not here right now. He's still recovering from the Mint 400 this past weekend. Mercedes has a pretty special space in my heart. So it gets an unfair amount of time for me in the sim. So that's what I'm going to be driving. But if you keep watching these, we're going to do one of these every single week, every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern time. I might do some other races outside of that, but for the most part, this is going to be kind of our headline event every single week. So I think Sebring is on the schedule next week. We all know that this weekend is the Mobile One Sebring 12-hour. Yeah, it's our home track. Garrett and I have driven there a heck of a lot in some race-prepped BMW M235i street cars. And we're working our way towards doing it in a GT4 car, hopefully by the end of this calendar year. But yeah, Sebring is a fun one. I'm really looking forward to that. I'm not honestly sure if it's going to be a wet race or not. I have to look at the schedule. I don't even know if that's announced yet. Yeah, this is going to be fun. And if you guys have questions about anything, whether you've been here before, your family, friends, a member, acquaintance, whatever it is, please give us a like, a follow, drop some comments in, share the video here. I think this is going to be some really cool stuff, and we're really excited to, build on this. So, yeah, how's it looking, Garrett?
That was looking fantastic.
Cool. This prototype squeezing through. So, all right, the race goes green. The session officially starts at 8:45. Just doing some final practice and setup, fine tuning right now. Whoa, boy. So as you can see, this is wet conditions. It's not actively raining, that's just mist from the cars ahead, but it is drying, which is from the practice race we did earlier. A huge element in this race is how it dries and how the grip improves, and managing tires through the entire time. So that's going to be something we're going to talk about tonight. In a little bit, we'll jump over into the race lobby, and then at 8:45, we're going racing. Cool. One of the cool things about this new rain system is really how the track is more the visuals than anything. Not just in terms of it being like visually impressive, which it is. It definitely is visually impressive. That's been I think it's taken modern computing power to get us to the point where we can render things that look this good. But what I'm talking about visually is how you can really see, anyone who's driven this so far you can actually see where the dry spots are on track. You can see where the puddles are forming. You can see where the streams are. As the track dries, you can see the dry line forming. Like, I don't know if it's coming across on the stream, but I can see this dark patch here that shows me where the rain line is, or it shows me where the dry line is. And that evolves when it goes from a wet track. When we start the race, I'll talk more about how it's going to look, how we actually have to adjust our line to avoid the racing line, but as it dries, we move back to being on our racing line. That's what's really cool about all this. But I get asked all the time, up until, I don't know, last month or so that iRacing announced that this rain system is coming, people would always ask, so can we model rain in the sim? And, for a really long time, the answer has been no. Oh boy, that was totally on me. All right, no contact there. Just gonna spin it and keep it going. Hopefully I don't take out this BMW that's coming. I'll let him go by. Yeah, so we had been asked many, many, many times, so what does rain simulation look like? What is that? Can you guys do that? Back when we had the symmetric trailer, we would travel to race events with just an older version of one of these sims back, started in 2019. We had one of these simulators in a 45-foot gooseneck trailer, and we traveled all over the country to work with drivers on race weekend. So our first event was the Daytona 24 in 2019, which for anyone that remembers, that was a extremely wet race. I think they actually ended that race early as a result of how wet it was. Anyways, that was our first event. We did the whole IMSA calendar in 2019. 2020, we were set to do IMSA and the Road to Indy. We all know what happened early in 2020, so that kind of forced our hand into just doing Road to Indy. So we did that 2021 and part of 22, and then midway through 22 is where Garrett and I and Garrett's brother Wayne, we all got together, put our brains together, and came up with the vision for the Chicane Club. And now in March of 2024, here we are doing some iRacing live streaming. So But yeah, like I said, a lot of people ask me all the time, can we do rain simulation? It's really valuable. It's really hard to test in. It's really hard to create a wet track um, on a normal day to practice with. And usually my answer was, no, there's no way to do this. No one's done it correct. It's not this. You can't just turn the grip down. The visual and physical effects are so significant in real rain driving that I've yet to see a model that does it correctly. I mean, just like I was talking about, when you're able to see a dry line versus a wet line, you can see the puddles. You have to avoid painted surfaces and curbs because they get so slick. You have to avoid the racing line because of how smooth it is from cars driving on it for tens of thousands of laps. All those effects really made it hard for any. I never saw a software company that actually really did it correctly. I know Gran Turismo and Forza, they all come out with their rain stuff, and it looks cool, but it's not really how it is to drive in the rain. Well, I have a new answer for that question with rain simulation, and iRacing is the answer. I think I am incredibly impressed with how this is. I have not raced in the rain myself. I have engineered from pit lane a lot of stuff in the rain, and from as far as I can tell, this is really impressive. I haven't spoken to a real driver who's raced in the rain in real life yet on this, but from all the YouTube stuff that I've watched myself, they all seem really impressed. We got to get Shane in here.
Oh, for sure. He'd love this.
Yeah, we got to get him in here soon. I know he's coming back tomorrow, but we got to get him in here soon. Maybe do some Mugello prep with him in the rain for next week for him. I think that'd be the way to go. Got a little netcode going on this guy up ahead. But yeah, I think this is the new standard in rain simulation. No. Yeah, track is really getting dry now. I don't know if I've ever seen it this dry here in our previous race, Garrett. What time is it? Are we ready to... Do you think the race lobby's open yet?
It's currently 8:12, so I think within the next few minutes the race lobby should be opening up.
Okay, I'll do probably 2 more or so here. All right, so for those of you that haven't been here, don't know, I've never seen this stuff before. I am driving a pretty trick sim. As you can tell, we've got full motion going on here. This is a custom spec CXE Motion Pro 2 sim. Are they expensive? Yes, they definitely are one of the most expensive sims out there right now. Short of you actually trying to knock on Delara or Multimatic Store and trying to get one of their driver of the loop sims. It's got triple 77-inch screens. You can see my frame rate in the top right. I'm holding 120 frames really nicely on these beautiful big screens. I've got 2 degrees of freedom motion on my seat that we've done a lot of work to fine tune. I know a lot of people have tried motion systems and they don't like them, and it seems complicated and doesn't work correctly. Well, I've only heard positive things about how our motion system feels in here, to the point where I've spent so much time in here that if you turn the motion off, I get lost and I make all sorts of mistakes because it feels like you took a sensory input away from me and I can't drive without it. We've got 4 butt kickers on our sim right here. There's one on the back of my seat. There's one on the bottom of the seat. There's one on the steering rack here. And there's one on the pedal set. So I can feel independently 4 different locations for haptic feedback. So wheel lock, wheel slip, curbs, gear changes, pavement changes, anything like that. I can pretty much feel anything in here. What else have we got going on? All right, steering system. I'm sure that's the first question a lot of people ask. So this is a fully turnkey system from CXC. You cannot go buy their steering system. It is the Leo Bodnar direct drive system. So this is the same hardware that IndyCar sims and Formula One sims use. It can generate 40 Newton meters of torque, which is a lot. It is not set to that high right now because I have to do a lot more strength training to be able to drive with that. And frankly, it's entirely unrealistic unless we're talking about the Indy 500. So we've done a lot of fine tuning to that. Anyone who's driven in here can agree that this is really the best feeling sim steering that they felt anywhere. In terms of wheels, I'm holding it's an actual MPI wheel out of a real car with all of the shift gear, the shift switches and buttons from real race cars. So this is all FIA approved hardware that we're using. Pedal set is a custom built Tilton hydraulic set with Willwood master cylinders. Garrett and I do it all the time. We've got to bleed the brakes every once in a while. We do get a little bit of air in there every once in a while. You got to take care of it the same way you would on a real race car. Now, needless to say, is all of this necessary to go iRacing? No, it is absolutely not necessary to spend 6 figures on a sim to go iRacing and be competitive. Nor am I going to be the best person that could ever possibly drive this because I'm in this good of a sim. I will not tell you that that's the case. We use these on a commercial basis. We use them literally all day, every day, and we wanted the best sim that we can get our hands on, and that's why we use them. So, yes, I'm sure people are going to ask, oh, well, look at Greg. He doesn't know how to drive. He made a mistake in this 6-figure sim. All right, well, yeah, I hear you. Having the best equipment doesn't make me better. It is pretty nice, but we're just using what we got, and we want to share what we do for people who aren't physically close here or not members and whatnot here. So that's how we do this stuff. So, and yes, I am wearing FIA approved saw belt gloves. Totally overkill. I wear them just because I do a lot of driving in real life, and I think for training purposes, it's nice to have the same ergonomics that I'm used to in real life. Necessary? No. Fireproofing in a sim, not really a concern like in real life. So. All right, you think we're ready to go over to the official race lobby, guys?
Yeah. The race lobby should be open.
All right, I'm gonna box this lap. Just practice a pit stop.
Copy that.
In terms of a seat, I'm sitting in a Sawbelt GT pad seat. Another FIA-approved product. We really want ergonomics that a lot of guys are familiar with because we do a lot of real-life driver training. So this seat's fully customizable in terms of different seat pads, so we can get someone who's 6.5 feet tall, 275 pounds in here very comfortably, or we can get someone who's 5'2", 100 pounds in here, small kid. We can get them all driving in here with just a different configuration of pads. It's really comfortable. Our old sim, we had a Cobra seat. And this one is far more comfortable, better for ergonomics. I've got a lot more elbow space back here, which is really important for someone tall like me. And then, of course, we've got our Sawbelt 6-point harness on here as well, which is hooked up to passive seatbelt tensioners on the back here. So when I hit something that really helps me for the brakes, in addition to the hydraulic pedal set, is the seatbelt tensioning. And I use the seatbelt tension on my chest as a feedback tool to know how hard I'm really hitting the brakes. Again, when we turn the motion off and drive, you're putting a blindfold on me. I have a hard time driving without it. Ooh, get a little wide. Caught it though. So, yeah. And then over here to my right, this is our V-Box SimPack OLED lap timer. It is literally a piece of equipment out of a real car that you can go plug in 12-volt power and a GPS signal to, and you'd have all of your lap timing capabilities in a real car. Or you can take it in here, plug it into the computer, and we capture all of our video and data from the sim as we would in real life for video and data analysis after a session as well. So, overkill? Yeah, you got it. But that's what we try to bring. We want overkill is the way to do it here. So, all right, we're doing a practice pit stop. A little conservative on coming in there, but
Hey Greg, while we are pitting, we had Angela who asked the question of some tracks have totally different rain line compared to the dry line. Is this the case in racing in the rain?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so the difference between a rain line and a racing line. All right, so your traditional racing line where we start out nice and wide, we come to a nice apex, get a good exit, and then track out. Imagine doing over the course of let's say a year or something, how many laps do you think are done on a racetrack on a traditional racing line? I don't know, probably tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of laps on that. Now, a racetrack for grip is really, when you look at it up close on the pavement, it gets very abrasive, and you have like a lot of this, like, well, every track's a little bit different, but the racing line, the grip comes from the adhesion between the tire and that surface, like kind of the sandpapery texture of that. Now, think if you do these tens of thousands of laps on a racetrack year after year after year after year, eventually that grittiness in that sandpaper is going to get worn out. The same way you use a piece of sandpaper for a really long time, eventually that sandpaper is going to wear and get really smooth. The racing line is still the fastest way in the dry. But now go cover the track in an inch of rain. That racing line is now polished, smooth like glass. So the grip is really, really, really low. So that's where you hear the discussion of a racing line. Now, offline from the traditional racing line, in the rain is actually the place you generally want to be, because it's not polished smooth and you still have that like fresh sandpaper texture on it that you can use to find grip. It is also this weird geometry. You have to go around with corners where usually you break to the middle of the track, you miss your apex, and then you come back and you kind of do this weird, as you just noticed me driving, not hitting apexes anymore. That's by design. That's how I'm going to be able to hit my really find the fastest way around. And there's a bit of give and take with that. Every single lap, you're kind of hunting for that. And that's where I talked about like the visuals of where the track is wet and whatnot. That's where I'm kind of hunting for where every single lap, where is that grip? Do I need to be closer to the racing line, or do I need to go offline to the racing line to find where the grip is? Hope that so that's what we're gonna be doing a lot of talking about that as we go from the race we did earlier today. It starts pretty soaking wet, but with no precipitation, and then it dries throughout the extent of the race to the point where we're almost ready to go to slicks at the very end. Garrett and I were talking about that a little bit earlier about the best strategy. I think we're gonna stick with rains for the entire race tonight. Some guys might go on an alternate strategy there, but yeah, so that's always a point of discussion, is where do you need to be? And that changes for every racetrack. I'll talk about that a little bit here. Oh, I blew the pit exit there. Shame on me. Let go of the pit limiter too soon. My bad. Okay. Seems like a quiet lobby right now. All right. So this is reset to a newer session. So this is pretty wet again, so I'm going to have to definitely take it easier compared to the previous session. But like, for instance, so I'm on the rain line right now. It is super slick. Like, if you go to Bauer at all, like, I'm not even trying to go sideways, and that's what happens there. Again, I'm on the racing line here. You can see the pooling around the curbing, like that right there. Woo! I have to tiptoe. The S's really kind of force your hand. There's not much you can do. You just stay a couple feet wide of the curbing where you'd normally be in the dry. And then you can see here, I'm going to go a bit wide of this. It's a bit drier and rougher, and there's actually a bit more grip there. The other thing fun about this that I'll give props to iRacing for, I do want more seat time at different tracks and in different conditions to have a better answer for this. But as far as I can tell, they have the temperature modeling of the tire really good as well, even in the rain. Now, I know everyone assumes that when it's in the rain, your tires are ice cold the whole time. Relatively speaking, compared to a hot, dry day with slick tires, yes, your tires are quite cold. But rain tires are also a much, really wet there, because I'm online. Oh boy. That's what I get for talking and driving. I think I'm going to have to stop here. I think I ripped my splitter off. Beep, that's how unforgiving rain is. All right, as I was trying to say, so tire temperature in the rain is still a factor. The temperature range we're talking about is just a little bit different. I definitely notice on the outlap that tires are still ice cold. So it takes a good amount of heat to get them to come up. I'm really seeing like it's really not lap 1 or 2 that they're warm. It's really lap 3 and 4 that they're at what I feel is a peak. So the other thing I love about this rain modeling is the spray off of the cars ahead. I don't know what I want to do with this Ferrari right here. Come on. It's always the Ferraris. Prototype going up the inside. Go ahead. And the Ferrari's in the grass. Like usual.
Good call on letting him make the mistake. We have Replica Racing saying, what would be the standard range? What would a standard range strategy be? Would you use more fuel during the rain?
What's up, Josiah? I know who that is. So shout out to Josiah. He does our all of our liveries and sim photography, including the livery that I'm racing right now on this AMG. It's on our overlay right now. So shout out to you, bud. We'll get you to one of these at some point. All right. So fuel consumption in the rain. Generally speaking, we're burning less in wet conditions. There's just less full throttle time. It's not like a factor of like 2 that we're burning less fuel. I think in dry conditions we're at about 3.7 liters a lap here in this car, whereas in like super wet right now I'm at like 3.3. Even though there's less full throttle time and I'm going slower, because I'm going slower, the lap takes longer, and there's just the lap time. It just takes a longer period of time. So yes, there is less fuel that's burned. It does make the strategy a bit complicated, as Garrett and I found out earlier. In fully dry conditions, you can pretty accurately predict how much fuel you're going to burn from even a 45-minute race or even over the course of several hours, especially in real life. But when it's wet, that fuel consumption rate is a moving target, and it makes it hard to predict when conditions are constantly changing. So I love that adds another element to the strategy here in iRacing. It might make it more complicated for the average guy who's kind of trying to do all this stuff on his own. It makes it really hard to do the math, unless you got some really trick tools or some buddies helping you out with things. As a strategist and race engineer, I love it because it just adds another element to play with here. So you're going to hear Garrett and I talk about that towards the end of the race, about how much fuel we want to add depending on how the conditions develop throughout the race. Love the question so far. Ooh. So like literally I'm having to modulate power all the way to like this point here, and then it'll just break loose on its own like that. So you can see I'm really shallow here, stay a little bit off apex, stay off the exit curbing because it's slick, and then I stay wide off this apex here. Really have to tiptoe for this one. And then coming to the hairpin, I lift off super early on the entry here, just gradually, hard on the brakes, middle of the track, and then I go super wide around the apex just because it is soaking wet down there and it's literally faster to stay wide. And then I have to lift out of this here. The problem is that you're really forced onto the racing line here, which is super slick, so you really have to hold on and be heads up. You really have to avoid curb usage almost everywhere. You can see all the pooling at apex here, and then just really carefully modulate your power on the way out. The other big area that changes here is how aggressively we can attack I believe this is called 130R. How aggressively we can attack that one really changes from the beginning of the race to the end. And then braking here for the chicane, I'm finding that the most grip is like middle of the track. Forced into the water here, not much we can do about that. And then we go a little bit wide in short shift. Yeah, we can stick it flat here and we're good. Well, you'll see towards the end of the race when it really dries, we're actually trying to hold the tire temperature down. So I'll actually drive offline over here and try to keep the tires wet to keep them from degrading too quickly. Turn 1, we're staying a good bit off of apex here to stay out of the water. And then we stay a little wide here for turn 2. Ooh, prototype. Don't be afraid to interrupt me, Garrett. All right, what time is it, guys?
It is currently 8:30.
Okay, so we got another
15 minutes to your race.
Cool. Oh. Just trying to let you go up the inside there, bud. All right, so that brings me to my next point. There will always be a discussion here in this IMSA iRacing category. So this is multi-class racing, and I am in the slow class. I'm in the GT3 or GTD class, as IMSA would call it. Traditional GT3 car, sports car, a lot of downforce, 500 horsepower. It's got traction control, anti-lock brakes, a whole lot of cool stuff going on. And then there are two other classes here. Both of them are prototypes. You have the LMP2 class, which I was just passed by. So I know they've got just traction control, obviously a whole lot of downforce, more power. I know they're running the Gibson V8 engine, at least in real life. They're a little bit detuned compared to the top class, which is GTP. And that's where it's a manufacturer class where there's multiple manufacturers. Even here in iRacing, you've got the Cadillac, the Acura, the BMW, and the Porsche. I know the Ferrari and Lamborghini, Peugeot or Renault, forgive me, they're not here in iRacing yet. Ooh, and I almost make a mistake while I'm talking. There goes another P2 car. All right, so anyways, that's all to say is that there's multiple cars competing on track, multiple classes of cars competing on track simultaneously. We're not directly racing each other, but we need to coexist on the track at the same time. Having been in many driver briefings in the real life in IMSA, haven't heard Bo Barfield ream drivers of both GT cars and prototypes. The way this is supposed to work is that the GT cars stick to their line, they mind their own business, they stay on their racing line, and generally speaking, they just run their own race. There's a caveat to that, but I'll explain it in a second. The prototypes, it is because they're the faster, more nimble car that has more power, more downforce, more mechanical grip, more braking ability, just more of everything. They're more nimble, and thus the burden of getting past the GT traffic is on them safely. Now, not just in iRacing here, but I've witnessed it many times in real life, even by factory drivers on professional racing teams, that the top class will eventually collide into a GT car, just trying to get by, minding their own business. Again, burden and responsibility to get by safely is on the faster traffic, but it still happens. So there are times when, as a GT driver, I don't want to get taken out of the race, even if it's someone else's fault. I don't want to get taken out. So I will get out of the way preemptively to let it happen. I wish this was made more clear on iRacing, because I find myself constantly thinking that other people are not on the same page with how that's supposed to work. It really feels like the prototypes think that they own the place, and I'm sure they do because they're in the faster car and they think they own the place compared to us GT drivers. But, you know, I like GT racing. I'd rather be doing this. Maybe someday we'll get into doing prototype stuff. But again, needless to say, the burden of getting past safely is on the prototype drivers. I believe that's the case here in iRacing as well. So we'll definitely talk about that. You're going to hear Garrett, especially during the race. He's technically my crew chief right now, so he's watching in real time. He's going to let me know when prototypes are coming up, what the gaps are to everyone around me, how many are coming all the time, so I can kind of preemptively know what's going to happen. Like this guy right here is flying into the braking zone. In real life, we spend, like for the Daytona 24, the Sebring 12 hour, really any multi-class race, but especially the long ones, you can lose a lot of time as a GT driver trying to get too far out of the way of the prototype guys. There is a very fine art to letting them get by you safely while not sacrificing any time. And the way you really do that is if you do need to give up time to like let them get through so you don't get taken out, or just, you know, politely kind of, if you're out of the race, you're 10 laps down, you just want to mind your own business, you don't want to cause anyone any headaches with trying to get around you, there are right and wrong ways to do it. Generally speaking, the way you do it is you lift early in a braking zone and let them beat you into the corner, and then you make sure that your corner exit correct, and hopefully everyone's out of the way so you can really go and continue. If you do that, where you brake early in a braking zone, you're really going to cost yourself a few tenths of a second. However, going through a corner, fighting for position, holding the prototype up, I'm going to let this prototype go. All right, well, that was a little bit awkward timing. However, if you go through the corner, hold the prototype up, he's flashing his lights at you, you're both trying to figure out which direction to go. and then you lift on your way out, you're going to cost yourself time all the way down the straightaway. Hopefully it's not a long one, but that's where, like Daytona, it can cost you huge time if you have to lift somewhere. So try to get it done in a braking zone, so it costs you as little as possible, if nothing at all. The other element that Garrett and I are going to talk about a little bit later during the race is that because we're going to have prototype traffic, we're going to try to time our pit stop such that it's right before the prototypes get to us, so that we pit, we take our fuel that we need, they all go by, we rejoin the track, and we don't have to think about them ever again without, at least for the one first go around. That's kind of the smart way to do that. How are we doing here, guys? Woo! Caught a big puddle. And I'm going to eat it. All right, that was cool.
Yeah, you got about 9 minutes. Everything's going well.
All right, cool. I'm going to switch over to do
What
my...
advice?
I was going to say I should do my qualifying run, but it's a bit drier than it's going to be in qualifying, so it's kind of a moot point at this point. So, all right, I'm just going to keep driving here. Whoop. One of the things I really like about these rain tires, this isn't necessarily even anything about being fast, but I just love how much slip angle is involved all of the time, even in dry conditions. You just feel like you're Tokyo drifting every single corner on command. I feel like I'm spending more time pointing the wheel the opposite direction I'm going. Kind of fun. And that's something we actually talk about. I'm talking about how fun it is, but it's actually, when it comes to like real life driver coaching, I don't know, you go to your club track day in a street car or a low level race car, whatever it is, and it starts raining. What does everyone do? Everyone, well, 90% of people pack up and go home. I don't know what they're so afraid of. It's always kind of funny. It's actually driving in the rain. For one, it slows everything down. So if you're going to go off track, you're going to be going slower than you would as if it was dry. And two, it really forces you to focus on your car control of keeping the car pointed in the right direction, managing grip and everything. It just slows the whole process down. You have more time to react to everything. And spending a lot of time in the rain will make you a better driver in the dry, for sure. One of our members here did a car control clinic at a big skid pad where they literally wet it. He went out on street tires and was drifting in a figure 8 and really just working on just balancing the car on the limit of grip in wet conditions. And then you can do it in the dry too. So driving in the rain is a very, very useful skill.
So, hey, Greg.
Yes.
Just for the viewers, what's the difference between a normal dry setup and a rain setup? Besides the tires, what do you do differently? The suspension, maybe aero, anything at all?
Yeah. So, yes, there's a big answer to that one. Yeah, generally speaking, you want a car that is not going to be overly twitchy. You want something that's going to react a little bit. It's going to slow down its responses to everything, so that like when you hit a curb or a bump or something like that, it doesn't launch into outer space right away. Generally speaking, in a perfect world, you go softer on springs, lighter on your dampers. Usually we're going to turn the aero up, or we're going to crank up the rear wing or front wing if we have that option. Generally speaking, without even thinking about it, I'd probably disconnect the rear bar. Again, just to make the car a little bit less responsive. We don't want something that's ultra twitchy, because that makes it really hard to control and predict. This prototype doesn't know what he wants to do. But generally speaking, that's kind of a rule of thumb. I'm still trying to figure out what iRacing. One of my gripes with iRacing for a long time was, sorry if you guys are listening, is that the way the setups work in iRacing is really not exactly how they'd respond in real life. I don't know what part I'm missing about that, but like the best setup that I've found in the rain here is okay, all right. Guy doesn't know what he's doing. The best setup I've found in the rain so far is a super stiff rear bar and like a really stiff setup. So it just feels the best, but I cannot believe that that would be what would work actually in real life. That's kind of just one of my complaints with iRacing is that their setup tendencies do not reflect what you'd actually do in real life. So it's a little bit of a guessing game. I think it's gotten better with time. The setups adjustments make a little bit more sense, but you usually end up with a setup that would not work on a real car at all. I think that's mostly to do with the tire model, if I'm being honest. A lot of things I like about iRacing, but I have some complaints about their tire model. But, you know, it's still a really good platform, and as a competitive thing, the tire model just is the tire model, and everyone's got to work with it and compete with it in the same way, and for that, I'm okay with it. It just doesn't always reflect exactly what would happen in real life. And, you know, that's why we use Assetto Corsa with some of our trick software to do what we do. Sorry if you're listening to iRacing. I'd be glad to talk to you about it to help you make it better. But nonetheless, I am still here on iRacing driving right now, so good enough for me. What's the time check, guys?
Currently 8:42. Got 3 minutes to our session.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna have qualifying up right away. I think the one thing that I really enjoy about iRacing's rain modeling is that it forces you to get really comfortable not being pointed in a straight line almost ever. Like that corner there, I had opposite lock the whole way around. It just forces you to just get used to being uncomfortable, like literally all of the time. I can't wait to go back to doing a dry race because it's going to feel like super calm and collected the whole time. Really? You had to hit me? No secret where I was going to be there, bud.
Car on your left. Still there. Clear.
Get sucked into that curb. The other big thing that helps a lot. How far am I off? 2.7 off. Must be some aliens in here. The one thing that helps quite a lot that I find is using your ABS, TC, and brake bias as a tool to, you know, make the car do what I need it to at any given point in time. So in iRacing, I believe this is how the real car is set on the real Mercedes, although AMG can plug it and make it do whatever they want from experience. But 1 through 6 on traction control and ABS are the rain settings, with 1 being the lowest or the most amount of intervention. So it's kind of the biggest safety net that it comes in early and it stops everything, where 6 would be the least amount of intervention. 1 through 6 are the rain settings, and then 7 through 12 are the dry settings for both TC and ABS. I've been practicing on 3 and 3. I like to do qualifying my first lap on 2 and the second lap on 3. You know, like to get a banker in that's nice and safe. And then I go push a little bit harder. And then the start of the race, I like to run on 2 on both of them. And then as it dries, I turn it up little by little as I get confident with what the car is doing. Brake bias, I don't know that I change it that much. I do run a little bit more front bias in dry conditions, just because there's more Oop, was a little wide there. So a little bit more weight transfer, but at the same time, running more rear bias also makes it a little bit more twitchy on the brakes. But I'm just not using the same amount of peak pressure as I am in the dry. So it's kind of a moving target. So, all right, there's our session.
Fleet car ahead. Go right.
Gonna blast it off wide here and park it. How are we looking out there, guys?
Okay, good. Ready to hop in when you are.
All right. Would you mind grabbing me my my Yeti water behind you on the toolbox there, Garrett?
Oh yeah, of course.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, sir.
Hey, Greg, while we're waiting for this to load, we just want to let you know that we have Jason, Jen, and Alberto who have all joined and said hello.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Alberta, how do you even have time to watch right now? Aren't you busy with, like, night practice at Sebring or something? Oh, I guess that's probably not until tomorrow. What's up, dude? If that's, I assume that's the Alberto that I know. I don't know many guys by that name, but I know he's one of our subscribers from back in the day. All right. So I'm going to switch to our quali setup. It's just, in this case, I run the same, just because of the wet and it being predictable, I run a copy and paste of the race setup just with barely enough fuel to get us in for the 3 laps. In dry conditions, I do a little bit of fine tuning for the quali setup, make it a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more knife edge, so I can find a little bit extra time. But in the rain, I just want something that I'm really familiar with. So this is how I do this. I like to, in this practice session, just launch in so I see where my pit stall is. It looks like we're stall 23. So kind of the middle here. Garrett, are there any? No, there's only P2s in this one, so there's no GTPs. So that's at least one less class. So just so you know, Garrett, we might run into that same situation that we did earlier today where it'll come really close if we stay. If we have a clean race, we might have to pay attention to the fuel thing like we talked about.
Yep.
But for these practice
Sounds no
sessions,
fun.
because we can accumulate some incident points that actually do affect our safety rating, I just like to get in the car and see where our pit stall is, so I'm not surprised when we come in for our stop, but I don't actually go on track. I don't know what the point is with these guys getting in one corner in and possibly tanking their safety rating, so I'm going to get out. That's it anyway. All right, well, it's qualifying. Garrett, this looks like the same weather conditions that we were used to earlier today, right?
Yeah, it looks about the same. The weather's all the same. Then 10 minutes at the in-sim time, we should have some rain, but by then we should be finished to qualify anyway. So
Okay.
no rain. Same conditions, temperature-wise, forecast. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to
Let's
let it
go
rip
ahead
here.
and set some rippers.
So the biggest thing we can do on this outlap, even in the wet, is try to get as much heat in the tires as possible. From doing this earlier, it's very easy to go at least a second faster on the second flyer, just from the extra heat that's in there. So anything we can do to put heat on this outlap without taking too much time is a good way to do this. So now, contrary to what you see on Formula One formation laps, best way to put heat in tires is not by weaving back and forth. One, it's really dangerous and it's very easy to lose control, especially these wet conditions. I've been to club races before where guys literally crash the car on the pace lap trying to put heat in their tires by weaving. The best way to do it is just really aggressive throttle and brake. one, aggressive braking just naturally puts heat into the tread of the tire, but you're also putting heat into the brakes. Heat in the brakes will warm the wheel up. Warming the wheel up will warm the air up, which will warm the tire up. So we're trying to heat soak heat into the tires. And I find that in iRacing, that holds true here as well. It's also much more safe. The only difference between real life and sim is that in real life, I would encourage a driver not to rush putting heat in the tire because you can actually blister and damage a real life tire. I don't find that the iRacing that actually holds true. So we kind of just aggressively put heat in as quickly as we can, just so that the hope that by the time we start our first flyer, we've got a hot tire to work with. But in real life, you want to bring it up a bit more gradually. But generally speaking, in real life, we've got longer qualifying sessions, so it's not as much of an issue. So, all right.
Heads up, Greg. Our friend Sanders is actually in the lobby.
Who's it?
Sanders from yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Colonel Sanders. I'm going to laugh if he
Let's
qualifies in front of me.
stay clear of him.
Yeah, right? I'm going to
I
end
don't
up.
need another accident.
Yeah. The KFC BMW. All right, I'm going to start my first flyer here. Probably not going to talk all that much, trying to focus forward. Whew. All right, that was pretty good. Going to be faster on this next one. Oh, that is the best I've done. I'll take that. All right, going up on TC. Let's do another one. That's what I get for going back online. All right. We're up by 0.5. Where does that put me? P4.
B4.
All right. Well, I will definitely take that. Cool. Whew. Right as the clock expires, too. Wow. If we do more of these, we got to make sure to get him in early.
Yeah, I could have had better timing there.
Yeah.
Got a bit too close for comfort.
Yeah. All right. Rain setup. Race. Go to grid. All right, Garrett, as we did before, let's default to our 19 liters. No tires. No windshield tear off. I know we don't have a quick repair to think about. Yeah, uncheck the tires. There you go. I think that's everything we need to think about. And keep it alive for the first couple laps until we kind of clear out from everything like we normally do. And we'll play the, we'll just kind of manage where we are with the, the fuel load. We'll talk about that towards the end, probably lap 14, 15 of where we're going to have to make a decision on what we're going to do for that. Probably closer like lap 12 or so on how much fuel we had, but we'll manage it like we have the last couple. Yeah, Garrett, for sure. Let me know when this prototype start coming up close. I would really like to time the prototypes coming through where we take our stops. We're probably going to take this stop a bit earlier.
So you want to take fuel the first time they come around?
Yeah, as they're approaching us is when I would like to come into the pits, let all of them go by, and then we rejoin, and we never have to think about them. We have a lot less management to do with them. So that'll probably be like 20 minutes in or so. I don't know how long it took
sounds good.
time. So I think that's going to be that. I just want to survive this first one. For anyone wondering, we're going to be running the Mercedes all season long. I realize that it is not the best choice for BOP. Part of it is that I don't care and I really like driving the Mercedes, but the other part of it is that to me, I'm going to get my best performance out of staying in the same car all the time. I'd rather really finely tune how I drive with the Mercedes rather than jumping to the Porsche, to the Ferrari, to the Lambo, to the Audi, whatever it is all the time, constantly. To me, my best performance is going to come from me just driving the same thing all the time. It helps in some places and it hurts at others. So I'm going to try to get some heat in these tires before we go. But it's going to happen pretty quick here based on how these usually go. I wish iRacing implemented a way of doing 2 green flags, one for the prototype field and one for the sports cars, but at least we're not going to be going through the chicane like we have been when we were back in the field. So let's go. All right, there goes nothing. I'm going to take it nice and easy here. Got Rexy behind me. Just want to survive these first couple laps while everyone's packed up and really close here. And then we'll manage wherever we end up. Everyone's eager to make some early positions, but we just want to survive. That's a prototype deck lid or front clip, it looks like. How are we looking, Garrett?
Looking good. Nearest gap behind us is about a second, and to the front is about half a second.
Okay.
I will say, be wary of this guy in the the Porsche behind us. He seems a bit reckless.
Yeah, I see that. I think he might solve his own problem there. Whew. It is definitely wet at the start of this race. Oh, went a little wide. All good. Whew. All right. Here, would you mind turning the AC down to 70 in here? It's a bit warm.
Yeah, of course, I got you.
Thank you. So yes, we do have air conditioning for our sim room independently of the rest of the shop. Because, you know, climate control is ideal when we've got all this equipment in here. You really should feel the heat coming out of the sim chassis underneath me when we're at full tilt here for a while. This room gets pretty hot pretty quickly. Getting a bit nervous with this Porsche. But now I'm holding him up, but he's going to do something stupid here.
Part of me thinks it might be better to let him by and let him screw up.
Yeah. All right, I'll let him go
He's
here.
on your left. You're
Yep.
clear.
Clear.
I have a second gap to the nearest car behind.
Yep. I'm just going to follow Rexy here. Pressure him into doing something stupid. Get another position here. That was close. Yeah, this guy's gonna wreck out on his own. I'm not sure where he's going. What's this guy's safety rating? What does it say? It's not that bad. Get the exit and see if I can get a run on him. Oh, yeah. You fool. You let me take the outside line? Thank you. That was a little close for comfort. Just stay off that curb.
You got a 4-second gap to the closest car in front.
Okay. Why this guy does not know how to pick his moves. I know I could be doing a little bit better here, but he's going to do something that's going to take us both out. Whoa, he almost punted me.
Yeah, he just went off track.
He needs to back off.
Well, good news is you got about a 2-second gap to him now, so he should
Alright,
have a bit of issues trying to catch up.
Cool. Alright, we're down to a 2:17 on pace. Figure that's going to improve by about half a second a lap through this. Where's the closest the leader of the prototype pack, Garrett? Probably nowhere near us yet.
I don't believe they're anywhere close to us at the moment.
I see they're going through 130R now, so we got a couple laps, maybe 2 or 3.
Six-second gap to the car in front and about 2 to the car in the rear. We got plenty of breathing space. Just make sure we go on our race and not screw up.
Okay. Yeah, I think the prototype field's going to come through its first time in about a lap or 2. We're not going to stop for that. We'll stop when they come through the second time, and I think it's the third time at the very end near the finish that'll determine how much fuel we need, but we're good for now, is my point.
Copy.
Keep blowing that one a little wide. But there is grip out there, so it's okay. Alright. That Rexy car is now behind someone else, so this will be a new car behind us, so hopefully he's been dealt with.
Yeah, Roxy seems pretty far back. I don't think we have to deal with him for a while.
Cool. Someone else's problem. Another fast lap. This Porsche seems to be catching me pretty quickly.
Got a half-second gap to the Porsche behind you.
Got it. He's caught us pretty quickly. Not sure I'm going to have much for this guy. Won't let him have it, but I'm not going to ruin my race trying to defend. Just like that. Be careful with aero wash here. Oh, he went a bit wide. Save a little bit of fuel, not getting too close. I'll take the position back if he makes a mistake, but he seems faster than me anyway, so I'll just follow him. And use him to my advantage. Ooh, a little deep. Okay. Closest prototype is 10 seconds back. I see him. So probably right around start finish is when we'll see them.
Heads up, there's about 7.5 second gap to the nearest prototype behind us. If not by the start finish line, you should probably be starting to deal with traffic by turn 1.
Got it. Look at one of the Porsches ahead made a mistake. Looks like we caught one of them.
I guess so. There's a few cars already pitted in the GT3 class as well.
Oh yeah, they're probably pitting for the field to come through. The prototype field. Yeah, we'll do that on the second round. There they are.
Prototype half a second gap, closing in rapidly on your left side.
Yep.
And you're clear.
He's checked out from the field. Wow.
Another one, 4 seconds gap.
Yep. Oh man, he almost took that Porsche out, or vice versa. I think that was on the prototype. Looked like he was trying to do the move too late.
Approaching rapidly, get one on your tail, come on your right, on your left.
Got it. Stay to the inside. Man, I hate when they go right there.
Got 3 more prototypes coming in.
Copy.
Be wary of a dive bomb into the chicane.
Yeah. Whoa.
On your tail now.
Wow. 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 Don't do something stupid there, bud.
Pack of 3 right here on you now.
Copy.
I say just let them all by. Sacrifice a little bit of time. You get about 7 seconds to the nearest GT3 car.
Copy. That was aggressive. Check out the 787B livery. That was cool. Oh, you don't have trading paints out there.
Yeah, not an operator. Yeah, I'll get that after this.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a cool livery for a prototype. Where's the next prototype?
Next prototype is 5 seconds gap.
Okay. Starting to see the track dry considerably now. Still damp.
Prototype approaching us now. 1 second gap.
Fading the inside.
And you clear. 2 more approaching. 3 second gap.
Okay. They're not close enough to get me here.
They get ones there for the hairpin.
They weren't close enough to let them go. I'm going to go to the inside like I usually do.
1 more coming.
Yep.
Stay inside. Hold inside a little more, and you clear.
Okay.
You got a 7.5 gap, 7-second gap to the nearest GT3 car, and the nearest G2 is 7 seconds as well.
Got it. We got to get the Bluetooth heart rate monitor for Race Lab for the overlay. I think that's going to be cool because my heart's definitely going right now. I mean, I'm by no means working out, but it's definitely not a resting heart rate. That'll be really
a lot
cool.
of anxiety with the prototypes, that's for sure.
That's literally what it all is. You can literally see the rate go up and down as the prototypes approach.
Being approaching, we got a P2, about 3 seconds gap.
Copy.
You'll probably catch up to us by turn 1 here.
Okay. You're not going to go. I'm going to take the inside line there, bud.
We're gonna go outside, and you clear.
Yep. Thank you. By no means running a perfect race right now, but I'll take what I can get. Trying to manage the rear end the best that I can. Just trying to keep it safe, not make any mistakes. That corner is really bad. It's got the pooling of water at Apex is really bad, and then you have the whole racing line, which makes it super slick, so it just feels awkward to go through when you go wide on a rain line. Okay. Okay. Midpoint of the race, just about. Track is definitely drying. Still wet. Doesn't look like anyone's on a slick tire yet. Can't imagine that would work.
Not quite sure the slick's the best approach here. It's a bit
No.
risky.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if anyone does it really late in the race. On 3/10 in turn 1. Can definitely start pushing there more. Fortunately, this is a really boring spot in the race for us right now, which just means that I don't have any wheel-to-wheel racing to do. But honestly, that's Not a bad place to be.
Heads up, you get a prototype with a 3.5 second gap coming into you.
Okay.
And then one following him about a 1.5 behind.
Oh, Porsche looped it.
Well, there's our wheel-to-wheel racing.
I don't know if he's got damage or not. Hard to tell. Woo! Knocker factor.
Heads up, the P2 approaching has no front end.
Great. Wonderful.
Yeah, stay very wary of him. He's right up on you. He's literally right up. Oh my gosh.
Driving in my mirror a little bit. I'd love to see him go through a 130-yard one piece without a front end. Yeah, let's see how this goes. That looked uneventful. Porsche's diving for the pits. Let's see if our overcut works.
Heads up, we got about 5 laps of fuel left.
Copy. Yeah, I would set that fuel number to 22 liters. I'll double check at the next one. I'll tell you the number. I think it's going to be 22 though, just to be safe.
Copy that. About 17 liters will get us about 5 laps.
Yeah, so we're streaming live on YouTube right now. Naturally, that's the only place you'd be able to see this, unless you're in the building, which there's a handful of you that are. Long term, we do want to expand to some other streaming platforms, specifically Twitch, kind of the natural selection for that. And then perhaps Facebook or some other mediums at the same time. But for tonight, we just wanted to keep it simple. Go to YouTube. Yeah, we put a lot of work into making a really cool stream setup so you can see my feet on the main overlay. You have the command center shot. You've got the main camera that I'm looking at right now. We would like to add other cameras other times. You know, got to find a way to make it work, make it look cool, give you guys some really high quality content to watch. I think we'd also like to loop our other sim into this for some really cool in the building, real time, wheel to wheel sim racing. Yeah, we have some really cool plans. I think long term we want to start bringing in some pro drivers or some high profile people. You know, some VIPs. Maybe we'll do some iRacing together, or we'll do some silly Assetto Corsa stuff. Make it entertaining, kind of podcast interview style. I think it's going to be a really cool thing that we're building here. But all while that's going on, we're going to continue doing my own personal sim racing stuff on here like this. You can kind of follow my journey towards becoming hopefully someday an iRacing alien. Whatever whatever iRating you want to call that. I'm not purely in the pursuit of just going after iRating. I really just want to get better as a driver. And I want to share that with you guys. I want to show you some of the really cool tools that we have here that may not be available elsewhere, or just some of the tricks of the trade that we do that I've taken from engineering and coaching in real life and kind of bring them in here at a professional level. So, and if anyone watching hasn't been in here yet, local to us here in Jupiter, Florida, northern end of Palm Beach County, you'd be interested in becoming a member here and learning more about what that means. We do a lot of member events all month long. When we say we have a membership here, it's not a digital membership, it is a in-person membership. So what you pay for gets you access to our events in here all the time, where you can come in, you can drive this very sim.
That's okay. Sorry to cut you off. You got
Okay.
probably just like about a half a second gap
Yeah, I
behind you.
see
What on
you.
you now?
You can wait until after the chicane. Is that the leader? Who is that? No, he's in 11th. I'll take your draft, please. Yeah. We do every level of kind of sim engagement here, where for just $175 a month, you can come into 3+ events per month here, 2 of them on a weekday and 1 of them on a weekend, with some other pop-up events from time to time. Really in a drive and drive format. You don't have to know anything, you don't have to bring anything, you don't have to be a racer, you don't have to be a sim racer, you don't have to be anything. You just come in here and we will teach you on any level. So yeah, it's a really cool. We have a bunch of pro racers, we've got a bunch of young aspiring development drivers that are in here, we've got a bunch of just straight up racing enthusiasts and people in the industry all the time. So it makes for some really cool stuff. We do also offer a high-end VIP membership for an unlimited coaching thing, so you get all the access of our lower level membership. That includes, unlimited driving time, so we can work one-on-one for people, usually racing in real life somewhere, that really want our full support and coaching. Ooh.
Correct. You had you need to check your tire pressures.
Yep. Alright, got 2 laps of fuel left. Are we ready for a stop? Let's do one more. One more lap here, Garrett, and we'll do our fuel calculation on this lap.
Copy that.
That number you're going to be looking for fuel, we're going to have 7, make it 6. So 6 times 3.5, I think that's that 19 and change number. Let's do 7 times 3.5, whatever that is. I assume that's 21 or something like that. Garrett?
Sorry, what was that?
So we're gonna have to do, I want 7 laps worth of fuel at 3.5 liters per lap, so type in that.
Alright, so we need about 24.5 gallons.
Liters.
Or liters, pardon.
Yeah.
My freedom units.
Freedom units. Not non-freedom units. I'm sorry, my brain only works in metric when it comes to racing stuff, unless of course we're talking about higher pressures, and in that case only then we talk about PSI, at least in this country. So, alright, so set your your fuel added to, I guess, 25 then. I know it's probably a little heavy, but I do not want to run out on the last lap, like we almost experienced last time, because I'm running clean so far. Oh, sorry, man. Crap. All right. Car feels okay. And still gonna box this lap, Garrett.
Copy that.
Car feels totally fine, so I'm just gonna drive as is. I'm sure I'm actually missing my splitter, but oh, Porsche's gonna come in too.
You still have a spoiler, actually. You just lost the bumper.
Okay, explain that to me in real life. That's very disconcerting. I'm gonna go whenever he releases me here. Alright, what am I rejoining it to here?
You're clear.
Copy. Cool. Alright, a little front end damage, car feels totally fine. Hoping that doesn't affect my front aero. We're gonna find out here. So far it feels okay.
You think there's any changes to your tire pressure after that stop? With the, it might have been a little bit longer.
Say that again?
You think your tire pressure's looking good? After the stop?
Yeah, I think they're looking okay right now. I gotcha. Alright, car feels okay. Let's jam here to the end. I think we got one extra lap of fuel. I know that probably cost me an extra second and a half. 2 seconds. But I'll take it because I had that margin anyway, so. I know I could have taken some tires, but I'm not willing to experiment with that. The one thing Garrett and I were talking about a little bit earlier is the option of taking tires. I know you can fuel and take tires simultaneously here in iRacing. Oop, got a yellow, someone looped it. You can take fuel and tires simultaneously, just like they do in IMSA in real life.
Heads up, you got a P2 approaching 1 second gap.
Okay. I need to stop spending time looking in my mirror. That's what I get for that. Just because I'm a driver, coach, and engineer doesn't mean I don't make mistakes. Anyways, yeah, because we can take fuel and tires simultaneously, we're only taking a little bit of fuel here, but that does leave us enough time to take possibly not a whole set of tires, maybe just 1 or 2. We were discussing possibly doing that, but the thing I'm a little apprehensive about that I didn't want to experiment with today was the heat that are currently in the set of tires that I have. They still feel fine, they're nice and hot, plenty sticky. Do we risk going on to a new set of either rain or slick tires at the risk of losing time with them because they're cold? The other thing we were talking about, I see a bunch of the other cars in class went to slicks. Yeah, that's the type of thing. Whoa, there, thank you. That's the type of thing I'm afraid of happening. If we go to slicks too early, is it probably 5 seconds a lot faster? Yeah, but if you place one wheel wrong slightly into a damp puddle that you may not even be able to see, you might end your whole race. So personally, I'd rather finish the race in one piece, even if it's a little bit off pace. It's a bit more reliable of a solution. So I'm just going to finish on these hot rain tires. It's still pretty drivable. We may not be at the same pace that the leaders are on when they end, but you know, I think it's a pretty robust solution here. That's my call. not in a situation where I need to start rolling the dice with stuff. Especially not in the first week of this iRacing season. It's the last race, we're going for points like we would in real life. All right, then maybe we make some gambles, but not worth it right now. Puts us in P5, and I presume that some of the cars ahead still need to stop. Now, I don't know if this is a iRacing graphics thing, but this stripe that's appearing in front of me that looks all kind of pixely and jagged and square, I assume that's a true dry line. I don't know if that's something weird with our graphics setting or if it's something weird that iRacing has to iron out. I don't know exactly what that is because it doesn't look very real to me. We've got that P2 car without a front splitter. Front clip rather blasting past me. Somehow that Porsche caught up to me. I think he's on slicks.
He's definitely on slicks. He's really tight. Just let him go.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna fight him too much there.
Yeah, he's definitely on slicks. He took a really risky option there.
Yeah.
I'd say be a bit wary because he's hitting a lot of water spots there.
Yeah, that must be so sketchy. I don't know if I'd be up for doing that. Maybe if we went like as long as possible, we went to it, it would be an option. But I'm just not willing to gamble that right now. I want more test time with that to see how that works.
Yeah, I don't know if the first week's the best idea to be testing it out.
Yeah, you know what's weird is that the test sessions, or the practice sessions rather, there's never enough traffic in them to dry them as much as we see in this race, so the only way to test that is in a race, and I really don't want to gamble with my I rating to do that, but maybe we will in future weeks if I do enough of these. Oh yeah, it's starting to definitely get a bit drier now. For sure, the slick tire is ultimately faster if you can keep it pointed in the right direction. The other thing to consider with going to slicks is that obviously you've got to switch all four, and that takes up however much time it takes. I don't know offhand, probably something, I guess is like 15 seconds, which is, you know, about what it takes to do in real life. So the slick tire, you'd have to make up the time lost, the time that you lost into switching onto them. But if you're 6 seconds a lap faster, that math is pretty simple that it doesn't take too long to get there. Any cars behind me on slicks, it doesn't look like it. So hopefully I'm not going to get hunted down in the last couple laps here. Pretty safe in 5th position. 4 laps to go, it looks like. Depending on where the leader is. Oh yeah, track's getting dry. I think we're now at a time where, even though I'm still on the wets, they are going to start getting really hot because of how dry the track is. So I'm going to start looking for water on straightaways. Probably get closer to going back towards our traditional racing line now also. Oh yeah, there's grip on line now. Oh yeah, driving style's going to change. Should have noticed that earlier. Still want to avoid the wet spots, but oh yeah, it's wet. All right, let's go offline here. Keep our tires nice and cool. I assume I haven't read enough on their rain modeling, but I would assume that this would take my tire temps down. If they made the rest of this good, I would think that that was included here as well. That was homeboy on The slicks again, making another mistake. See, that's what I'm afraid of. You go to the slicks, make one mistake, and throw your whole race away. Gonna go up on TC also.
Heads up, the Porsche that spun on the slicks is catching up to us very rapidly, approaching just to that 1 second gap.
Got it. Yeah, unfortunately, there's not much I can do about that. I'm not really going to get it his way. He's got that much of a delta on me. There's not much I can do to stop him, so. Just let him by. And just hope he takes himself out again. Maybe I made that a little too easy for him, but
Heads up, you got P2 traffic starting to come back around on you. So 6.5 seconds gap to the nearest car.
copy. I'm actually going to go a little rearwards with my brake bias. Want it a little bit more pointy on the way into a corner. And he wrecked it again. See, that's why I'm afraid of doing that. That's what you get.
Heads up, as you can say, 3.5 second gaps to the nearest P2 behind you.
Copy. There's no way that Porsche isn't damaged to the point of not being able to race now, so I don't know what... Yeah. He hit the wall pretty hard, so there's no way his wheels are going to be pointed in the right direction.
P2 coming out right on you now, 1 second gap.
Copy. Please play nice. Leaving plenty of room, and you're not taking it. Okay.
You went off track, be careful, there's no one right behind him.
Yep.
Might be fighting for position here. This is looking like the white flag after this.
Got it.
You'll never believe me when I tell you, but the Porsche that wrecked out is actually still in the race, 10.5 seconds behind.
That's, I can't possibly imagine what he's going to catch me in a loud path.
Well, no, just how did he still in the race?
It's really impressive. He hit it really hard. I don't know if you saw that.
He
On street, but
did pretty bad.
yeah, he set up one probably went wide on power, dropped the wheel curve, complex tires, went the way, just whack wall.
He's actually made it up at the second mile, so I say, I don't know how you have to do that.
Honestly, my tire's still pretty good for that. Oh, someone else spend it. Oh, mine wasn't a perfect decision. I'm gonna put that white flag. One to go. Looks like pretty safe in this position right now, so I just need to not make the superhero to try to do something I shouldn't.
That's 7.5 seconds gap to the nearest prototype behind you.
They're gonna catch me at the very probably on the back stretch coming to 150R. No, not before that. Coming out of the hairpin is when they're going to catch me. That's my guess.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. So some of you may have noticed I'm not consistently in the same gears through the S's. Usually in the dry, I'm very, very consistent from lap to lap, but I feel like I'm constantly hunting for grip in different places in this wet conditions, so kind of lends me to always trying different things. I'm sure I could, in hindsight, have done a couple things differently, but I'm just doing what kind of intuitively feels right to me at any given point in time. There's the prototype.
Yep, got about a 2.5 second gap.
Yep.
Approaching rapidly.
Gonna pass me in the same place he did earlier, Garrett. So we could have done one last lap of fuel, but that hindsight factor is that would be a hard one to predict. Oh, second place ran out of fuel. I'm gonna get a podium.
There we go. We love to hear it.
Sick. Well, don't screw it up, Greg. Don't screw it up.
7-second gap to the nearest car behind us, and nearest P2 is 35 seconds back. We are home. We are home free.
Am I actually third? It says fourth, but I passed.
I
what
believe
was labeled
we
second
should
place.
be third.
That should be
We
third
will
place.
see as soon as we cross the line here. We'll see.
Should be third
Oh,
place.
we actually be second place.
What?
There we go, man. We'd love to see it.
All right, let's go. Well, that's fun.
Congratulations.
Honestly, guys, that's the first podium I've had in iRacing in a really long time, and you guys got to watch it live here, so that's kind of exciting. I mean, I know the other guys probably ran out of fuel, but I still say that counts. So that's
It's
awesome.
a lapse in strategy in their part.
All right, way to go, team. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Garrett, for spotting for me. That worked out pretty well. No incidents other than me screwing up once from dropping a wheel. Yeah, nicely done. All right, on our cooldown lap here, yeah, I just want to go and thank everyone that made this happen. Yeah, Garrett, you were awesome spotting, helping me with strategy stuff. It's gonna be really fun as we do more of these. TJ, I hope the stream looked pretty good. I'm sure it did. I'm sure you did an awesome job with that. Daphne, thank you for helping with the YouTube marketing, social media side of things for everything. All of our partners played a big part in making this happen. Southwake, run by Garrett's older brother and our business partner Wayne. Thank you guys for everything that you guys do. We got Decipher Technologies all over our car now, one of our newest partners that do really high-end cybersecurity IT solutions for custom businesses and yeah, really cool homes. Saw belts, love the gloves, love the seats, love the seat belts. Really fantastic products. Hope you're watching, Eric and everyone at Sawbelt. Race Logic, VBox, you guys do an awesome job with everything that you guys do. Make our coaching job so much easier. And Rocky's Ultimate Garage, sorry. One of our members here has a really cool tuner shop down in West Palm Beach. Wraps, tints, wheels, detailing, you name it, they make it happen. So, yeah, big thanks. And everyone else here in the lounge here tonight. Yeah, that was fun. I don't think we have many incidents to look at. I am going to stop here, and I want to see exactly what I did in that the one incident there. Let's see if we can find that. But yeah, well, that was fun. Whew. I'm a little tired. That was a good one, guys. Let's see if I can find that mistake that I made here. Do the chopper cam, and I think I mapped this to. So let's watch all these incidents. So this was this guy going off when he did. He never caught up to me. Yeah, his front end is a bit shunted. I wonder if that affects your front aero when your whole front end's bashed in like that. I don't know how iRacing models that damage, but all right. So this is him going wide there. He went off a couple times. How do we switch through? Why is it just stuck on him? I want to see.
That's next instant for only that car you're spectating. So if you go to yourself, you'll see all your instants.
Okay. I gotcha. So is this? I don't think I went off there. I don't really. Did I have any incident points? Just from the one off track. So let's see. 4 points. Just from spinning at that one point. Click through these. We'll have to find it at some point. This is going back really slow. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I think this was a lot of fun, and this is the beginning of a lot of really cool things that are going to be happening over the every week, every Wednesday night. We're going to be doing a race just like this. I know that Sebring is the next one on our schedule next week, so obviously that's got a special place in our heart. It's our home track. We drive there a lot in real life. Yeah, this is going to be fun. A lot of tracks that are new to me on the schedule for this year. I think Misano is actually, I think that's one much later in the season. That's a new one for me. I've never actually worked it before. I've never been there. Don't know much about it. I know Portimao or Algarve is on the schedule in a couple of weeks. New to iRacing. I've worked with Shane quite extensively on that one in the past, so I've driven it a bunch in the Assetto Corsa world, but I'm excited to drive it here in iRacing. It's an awesome track. Huge elevation change, big commitment, blind, flying corners, a lot of downforce stuff. That one's going to be really cool. I know there's a bunch of good old-fashioned IMSA tracks on there. IMSA, Road America, I think, is on there. Sebring. What are the other ones, Garrett? What else is on there? I think there's a Road Atlanta that we end with. Yeah, this is going to be fun. So, all right. Well, for the time being, thanks for tuning in, guys. I think this was a lot of fun. And yeah, we'll see you back here 8 o'clock next week. Bye, guys.